I'm Dr. Boyce Watkins from Your Black World, and a lot of you know that there is a consistent and ongoing fight against mass incarceration of African American men. Not so much to the point that we don't believe that people shouldn't pay their debt to society, but the question is, how much is too much? And there's a case that I just really wanted you guys to know about. I'm so happy that this brother reached out to me. Before I get into that, though, I want to tell you who I'm speaking with. I am speaking with Mr. Tim Richardson. Tim is the founder and CEO of an organization called Epidemic, and that's spelled with Epidemic. Epidemic, right? Is that right, Tim?
Epidemic.
Okay, so
Yeah.
I wrote Epidemic, and I said that don't sound right, and it's spelled with a K at the end. Spell it for me, man. EK.
Epidemek.
There you go.
Epidemic.
Okay, Epidemic. All right. And Tim had originally got my attention before because while he was in prison, he raised was it $30,000?
Yeah, over $30,000.
Yeah. So he's a veteran of this justice system that we always talk about, and he has come out and he's really become just a rising star in terms of really taking that knowledge that he accumulated over those tough years that he endured, and he's now out here fighting not just on behalf of himself but on behalf of other people. Now, one case that Tim dug into, and I'm gonna let him tell you more about it because he has a more personal relationship to this, is a situation involving Roosevelt Baron. Roosevelt went to prison at the age of 16 back in 1991. He was convicted of a shooting that occurred as a result of a drug deal gone bad, basically, and he did a lot of years in prison, and actually Tim was one of the individuals that worked to secure Roosevelt's release after he'd paid his debt to society, and also helped us contextualize the fact that he was 16 years old, and when you hear the story about the conditions under which the killing occurred, you might understand why this man did not deserve to be in prison for as long as he was. So before I get into that, I want to say to Tim, or I want to ask Tim, how you doing today, brother?
I'm doing all right. I'm blessed.
Good. Now, first I want to ask you this. You and Roosevelt, you guys were friends before you got out. Is that correct?
Before I got out, yeah, he befriended me while I was in there. One of my programs, I created the My Brother's Keeper program inside before President Obama and them started doing all this My Brother's Keeper. Yeah. And the purpose of that program was to prevent the violence or eliminate it altogether inside the institution, because you had a lot of young guys coming in there. These young guys being bound over and coming there with that Buck Roger time. So we wanted to give them something, a pro-social environment, something of substance, to provide them some guidance. Where if not, they were able to receive the message. Then we just plant that seed, and hopefully along the way, it'll bear fruit, and they will be able to be productive as they get older. And so I met Roosevelt. He had transferred to my institution, and actually I met him by playing basketball. But he had heard and seen some of the things I was doing, so he came along, and I got him into this program, and the rest is history. Our relationship grew from there.
Wow. And from what I've read, and you and I talked about these things a little bit before the fact, but I read that you guys basically kind of had an understanding that once you were out, you were going to work on behalf of Roosevelt to help him to get out as well, and you really kept that promise. Is that kind of how it went down? Okay.
Yeah. It's a lot of guys, like when I was explaining to you on your last show about how has these conflicting laws. We have like 3 or 4 different laws on the book when it comes to their sentencing schemes. And so the old law inmates in here, not to say again, like you said, the guys don't supposed to do their time or serve out their punishment, but who now we like trying to gauge, okay, what is life? How can you put change in a box? You can't do that. And so once a guy gets a 15 to life or a 20 to life or whatnot, they have a certain amount of years that they have to serve to go before the parole board. And so a lot of these guys were starting to lose hope because they was getting 5 and 10 year flops, and they were being done like basically it was unconstitutional for real, because it was like double jeopardy. The parole board was going back and reviewing their case and talking about things that happened. Some of these things might not even been took place. It was just going by off the police report, and so it was like they being tried again for the same crime. And so they would give them 5 to 10 years off of that. So these guys now, like just recently, we was working with a guy. He had served 33 years. Now he's out. In 33 years, not to take away, because you can't put a price on life. You can't put a price on life. But when you talk about rules and regulations and policies that DRC have put in place to show society that these are things that we're implementing to show that these inmates are being rehabilitated and your tax dollars are paying for this, but then at the same time, behind the scene, you tell these guys, because they didn't completed these programs, that really doesn't change nothing. We're still looking at the nature of your crime. So it's a contradiction. And so the taxpayers are paying for this. And so what we did was we put scrutiny to this process. And so we started to bring it to light. And that was how we were able to obtain Roosevelt's freedom.
Wow. Okay. So Roosevelt is a friend of yours. First of all, I can say I admire the fact that you didn't just think about yourself. You know, you saw this as being bigger than just Tim Richardson. That right there is admirable, because you have a lot of people that just believe you take care of you and yours and that's it. And the fact that you are reaching back is admirable, and it actually reminds me of another brother that I know named Daryl Pageant. He did 20 years in the system for possession of a gram of crack cocaine or something like that. It was something ridiculous, and he was supposed to do 40 years. And he actually studied the law while he was incarcerated, and was able to basically work as his own attorney, secure his own release. And once he got out, though, the first thing that he talked about was the guys that got left behind, and some of the injustices that occurred while they were there. People being killed or being allowed to die by the guards. Things that just happen behind prison walls that no one cares about, because they somehow think that because you are defined as a felon, you deserve no rights, you deserve no human rights, no civil rights. Whatever happens to you, you deserve it. And I think that's atrocious, and I hope you agree with me on that. And I assume you do. But let me. So here's another thing that was really interesting about this case. You actually reached out to the mother of the victim. Now, so Roosevelt. So people know the context. So Roosevelt, the shooting occurred when Roosevelt was 16. So he was still a baby, pretty much.
Yes.
And you reached out to his mother, Miss Donna Foster.
The
victim's mother, James Foster's mother, and got her to help you in this. Can you talk about that?
Well, actually, they had been corresponding before this, all right, and she had attempted before to try to advocate for his release, but it didn't go nowhere. It fell deaf upon the parole board's ears. Okay, so and then their communication was cut off this last time on the behalf of an attorney that Roosevelt had hired, and actually the attorney kind of got out on him, and so Miss Foster was kind of messed up behind that because the communication was cut off. So
wait, I didn't mean to cut you off, brother. So you mean wait. So you mean Roosevelt's attorney cut off the communication between Roosevelt and the victim's mother?
Yes.
But doesn't that help you that the victim's mother wants you to be released? I mean, why would the attorney do that? That don't even make any sense.
In fairness to the attorney was thought that they was doing Roosevelt more good than they did harm because of DRC policies when it comes to correspondence with a victim. All right. So, but she didn't know that he could correspond, being that he wrote the letter and sent it to her. Not he sent it to the attorney. So she could have gave Miss Foster the letter, but she chose to hold it, and she didn't do that. And which did Roosevelt more harm, because it left Miss Foster in a bad spot. It brought her spirits down. But that's where we came along. Everything served its purpose. And I told him I said, listen, I need you to write a letter, because when I contacted her, she had no idea who we were, and then after I introduced myself and my team and let her know this is what we do, she was interested in making a contact. She said, "I would love to meet you. You sound interesting, and I like the work that you're doing. I visited your website." And so we met her, and when we met her, I bought the letter that Roosevelt wrote to her, and it brought tears to her eyes. She was just looking for, I guess, that correspondence, and that was just like a confirmation to her spirit that this was real, as far as working with this young man. And
Wow.
and it went from there.
Wow. Well, what's really touching to me definitely is just the capacity for forgiveness that Miss Foster had to have. I mean, losing a child, that is absolutely the worst nightmare of any mother out here. And we know that, unfortunately, though, teenagers get into situations, they get into beefs with each other, things happen, and we're not always able to see how that affects other people. So can I ask you this? And I know it's hard; it might be hard for you to speak on behalf of Miss Foster, but I'm definitely curious. When she explained to you why she had worked so hard to help Roosevelt obtain his release?
Roosevelt was the only one at the trial when it was over that apologized to her. He was the one that asked her, turned around and asked her. He said, "Miss Foster, would you please forgive me?" And he asked her family for forgiveness. He said, "I didn't mean I made a bad choice, and I didn't mean to hurt you or your family like this." And he was a baby. And so she took that all in consideration, so much so that she started working with juveniles in the court system to help them so they wouldn't make the same decision and get caught up in gangs or the street mentality where they would be misled and do something as hideous as what Roosevelt done.
Wow, wow. And so what I think is real interesting here is that you had the victim's mother who worked for many, many years to help Roosevelt secure his release. And despite all that, the system still kept him behind bars for 23 years. If you're talking about a 16-year-old, first of all, he's 16. I mean, if you talk about a 16-year-old kid, it seems to me, and you could tell me, I have not been incarcerated. I have a lot of relatives who have been, which is what connects me to the issue. It seems to me that it would only take 5 years for a 16-year-old to, or not even 5 years maybe, to learn his lesson and to get a chance to be rehabilitated. So why do you think they kept him in there for 23 years? I mean, that is such a long time.
When you look at it, when we reviewed his file, and other than the fact, first you want to look at his conduct, his institutional record, and he doesn't have an extreme institutional record where he's been in and out the hole, fights and things of that nature. So we was like, okay, if this wasn't the case, why did they continue to give him time after we discovered that the prosecutor agreed for Roosevelt to be released after he go up on his first hearing because he was cooperative with the authorities? Okay, so
wait,
we
you said his first hand. What do you mean his first parole board hearing?
His first parole board hearing.
Okay. Sorry about that.
They agreed after, because he was supposed to serve 7 years to the parole board. They agreed if he's been in cooperating and his conduct has been in compliance with the rules and regulations of DRC, and he's been doing what he's had to do, that they wanted him to be released. We wouldn't oppose his release, and DRC opposed that. And so we were able to see that over the years, how policies change. How people come in, especially with in the prosecutor office. And so somebody had made a mistake, and every time DRC sent them to let them know that Roosevelt was coming for a hearing, after the second time, they would oppose it, the prosecutor. Okay? We were able to contact the prosecutor's office and get them to correct that error, to correct it. And they apologized and sent this letter to the parole board And the parole board still was reluctant to give this man another hearing. They didn't want to release him. So we had to hold them accountable. That was another piece of evidence that we presented to the parole board, along with the inaccuracy of DRC providing the records of Roosevelt's institutional record. And so we had to show them, we had to show them that, along with Miss Foster. That was enough to get him a rehearing, a reconsideration hearing, and that was how he was able to obtain his release, when we showed him the support that we was able to bring together in the errors that they had made, and they granted him a parole.
You know, man, what is so interesting to me about this is that it sounds like you are saying to me that despite the fact that Roosevelt didn't get in very much trouble at all during his time he was there, despite the fact that the victim's mother was working, didn't just say that he should be released, she was working hard to help him secure his release for quite some time, despite the fact that the prosecutor even said that he would help him to be released after he did a certain amount of time, the system was still reluctant to make things right. And even when their hypocrisy has been revealed, they still didn't want to actually hold the hearing and only apologize to him for the error without actually going back and making things right. I mean, this really sounds like the kind of thing where a serious wrong has been done to this man on the multiple levels, and that there's no accountability. There's nobody somebody should be paying some money for this. Somebody should be getting sued. I mean, this is crazy.
Oh, that ain't gonna happen.
Right. It ain't gonna happen. Right. We know it ain't gonna, right. But I think the thing is that it's worthy of that discussion of just saying that, is this what we're looking at? I mean, if you look at what's happening across the country, you could put it in that context.
Exactly.
You know, you see these injustices, you know, and it's like there just is no accountability, no respect for the impact that your decisions are having on the lives of so many people and their families. You know, let me ask you this: did you mention that Roosevelt has a child?
No, he doesn't have a child.
Okay, I thought you mentioned he had a child. Okay, so but he certainly has a family. And you know, and I think that what's interesting is that, you know, it seems that people forget that when somebody gets locked away and you throw away the key because you're not concerned about that person's rights beyond that point, you're not just affecting that person, you are affecting an entire family.
Right.
And I think that's something that it seems that people have a hard time understanding, particularly when you talk about black men. Sometimes I think that people just think we're animals. You know, that, you know, they just do whatever, and we don't have feelings and all these other things. I've even met some black women who sometimes act like black men don't have feelings. You know, so so long story. So we'll get back to you. First of all, I want to say congratulations and thank you for what you did for this brother. I don't even know this brother, but I respect this effort that you put forth to help him. Because I think it shows a type of nobility on your part. A lot of people's lives will be made better because of the sacrifice you made, along with Mrs. Foster. The other thing is, I want to ask you this. Tell me about Epidemic. What kind of work are you guys doing, and sort of what's on the horizon as far as things you're working on now?
Remember I was explaining to you last time when I was talking about our services. Well, first, our purpose is to inform and educate the general public about the individual rights that the courts are neglecting to adhere to. And our mission is to obtain justice, restore the disenfranchised, and to bridge the gap between communities everywhere. And we do this all under the umbrella of restorative justice. And so when you say what's our mission, when I had a chance to explain this to the board, like when this young man we befriended him in there, and then to get out and put it in. I said, this is an opportunity for y'all. This is an opportunity for the parole board to show the community this is what justice, or this is what restorative justice look like. Not only are we being accountable, not only are we being remorseful for what we have done, but we're reaching back and we're giving back, and we're making sure all components, the victim, the family, the judicial process, and the community all have a voice in what the solution is with this situation. That's what restorative justice is. So when this man called me, no, we're not lawyers, we're not judges, but we are ordinary people that do extraordinary things, that have a heart to do what's right. That's all. We just trying to show people this is what we do. This is what transformation, this is what change look like. And so now showing these people this, and speaking to these people who's looking at me like, I seen it in their, you know how you look at a person, you see it in their behavior, in their face. I seen it was like a irritation, like, how dare you, because they still looking at me under the guy of, you an inmate, right? But God be the glory, because when they was looking at me, they didn't have no choice but to accept it, because I was so humble in giving this presentation. And I told them thank you, because I didn't have to. Y'all didn't have to accept my representation of Roosevelt, but due to the fact that some other dynamics played a part in it, y'all know if y'all did that, that will put y'all more under scrutiny. So the fact that we are here having this discussion and this dialogue, hopefully somewhere down the line that we will be able to establish a partnership with them, so they can truly, you know how when you have a person that sits on them platforms, they tend to think that they better and they holier than thou, they can't be touched. But sometimes God have a way of bringing people down to their level and showing them like, nah, this is what it's supposed to be. So when you ask, get back on point, when you ask what Epidemic does, I mean, we just try to help the disadvantaged. And when we are given an opportunity to show people what restorative justice is, we practice that, and that's what we do.
All right, my man. I love it, brother. I think that what you are doing is great. In fact, I want people that are watching, I want them to go to. Let me ask you this: is there a way for people to give money to Epidemic, to financial support?
Our up and coming. You said what's up and coming? Up and coming thing. I just put, because I ran the My Brother's Keeper program in there. I developed it. I created it. Is our mentorship program for high risk youth. Okay, and actually, I was hoping that you could connect me, because I want to make sure that it's seen in a light where it won't be biased and it won't be scripted. Where you could connect me with Steve Harvey, so he can help, where we can show the world what we're doing, because he have a My Brother's Keeper program too. I see what he's doing with the youth. And they can contact me at epidemic.org, okay. Or they can contact me again, because we sell these shirts. You see our shirts, Get Your People Up.
Let me see. Stand up so I can see.
You see it?
I like that. How much are the shirts?
And on the back, it got the people behind you.
That's some good artwork. Who drew that?
I got a young, again, partner networking. A young man. He do spray painting and he do prints. His name is Sugar Ray. He does Sugar Ray painting, and so he does the shirts. And we charge for a small donation of $15. We charge for the shirts.
Okay, well, I love it. Well, so people can buy the shirts at the Epidemic website, or
they can contact. We prefer people call. The number's on the site, or you can call me. I gave my number out before. Remember, you was like, "Hey, you sure you want to do that?"
Go ahead, man. If you want to give it out again, please do. I want people to know how to get in touch with you, because I want people watching to understand that you have to be a soldier in this fight. Don't be a spectator. Yes, don't sit on the sidelines with your popcorn. Jump into battle. We need you. So I want people to you about to, everybody watching right now, you about to go out here, probably spend $200-$400 on Christmas presents, giving money to these big corporations that don't give a damn about you, that will never hire black people. Take at least 5 of those dollars, maybe 10, 15, 20, 30, whatever you can afford, and go to this brother's website and buy a shirt. Those shirts are fly shirts. I love those shirts, man. It's a very nice design. So you're not just making a donation, you're actually making a purchase. We all believe in supporting black-owned business, and what better type of business to support than one that is engaged in meaningful activism. So I want people to go to your site and buy the shirt. So first and foremost, the spell Epidemic, so people know how to get to the website.
Okay, you can go to his email, EPIDEMEK 2014 at gmail.com.
Okay, at gmail.com. And give us that phone number, please.
And the phone number is 614 638-6071.
607. Okay, so 614-638-6071. Okay, I'm writing it down. I'm writing it down because I want one of them shirts, man. That's
And, and,
I love it,
and
brother.
here go the site. The same spelling, EPIDEMEK.org.
Okay, all right. .org.
Right.
Got you. All right. Okay, so everybody's got the information. They know how to support you, and that is a segue into me saying thank you so much for all the work you're doing. Thank you for your time for this conversation as well. I appreciate it, brother.
Thank you, and thank you, the viewers. All right.
Absolutely,
Appreciate
absolutely, for sure. So everybody, this is Mr. Tim Richardson. Tim is not just a rising superstar, but he's also the founder and the creator of Epidemic, which is working on behalf of so many people that really need our support. I encourage you to go and support this brother and check out his work. And in case you're wondering, I'm Dr. Boyce Watkins from Your Black World. And until we meet again, please stay strong, be blessed, and be educated. We are gone. Peace.